having dispatched with the Blazers, who were thought to be a dangerous 8 seed, the Rockets, who, like Portland, won Game 1 against the Lakers, then never again, and then the very game Denver Nuggets. The Lakers now prepare for the Miami Heat. It's LeBron's 10th trip to the finals. On Tuesday, he was asked his thoughts about Pat Riley.
Probably one of the greatest minds that this game has ever had. He's won at every level. Seen a stat the other day that he's been part of a championship in 4 decades. This league is not the same without Rouse. So, he's a great guy, a great motivator, but someone that just knows what it takes to win. And he's shown that over the course of 40 years.
To see, what LeBron has done when he moved on to Cleveland, and to hear it really is just a testament to his greatness and his commitment to winning, and to be able to do it with different rosters and uniforms is really remarkable.
Brian Windhorst joins us now in advance of the finals, which begin Wednesday on ABC, to talk some topics that, Brian, you are particularly well equipped to discuss. Notably, the relationship, or maybe lack thereof, let's start here, between LeBron and Pat Riley, and how significant it would be to both to go through the other to get another chip. How would you frame the importance of that?
So I'm going to let you in on a secret, and I don't even know if it's a secret that Pat and LeBron fully understand. But from where I sit, knowing them both, I understand it. The reason that they really can't get along and really couldn't form a lasting bond is because they're too much alike, Scott. They really do have the same mentality. They're empire builders. They are dominators. They are control everything around them. And most importantly, they are not afraid to cut bait and send flowers, okay? Pat Riley, when it was time to move on from New York, moved on from New York. When it was time to move on from Alonzo Mourning, it was hard, he moved on. When it was time to move on from Shaq, from Dwayne Wade, he did it. LeBron James moved on from Dwayne Wade. All kinds of teammates. When he felt the time was needed, he moved on from them. Half his Laker team last year, he was ready to move on from them. He moved on from the Cavs. He moved on from the Heat. He moved on from the Cavs again. They are very much alike. They think in legacy. They think in long-term planning. And they want to send messages. Pat Riley wants to win another title to make the statement that he can win one without LeBron. The fact that it's going to potentially come against LeBron only sweetens this opportunity. LeBron wants to win a title in Los Angeles for his legacy and for the memory of Kobe Bryant. That it could come against the Heat and Pat Riley only makes it sweeter. They're not playing against each other on the court, but they've been playing against each other intellectually for a long time now, and it's one of the most fascinating back and forths we've seen in the NBA.
That's really well put, and I hadn't thought about it that way. Empire builders, they are that. Obviously, LeBron will be going head-to-head, in a sense, with Eric Spoelstra. A guy whose rep has gained considerably since LeBron left, because he was just seen as sort of their valet when he was coaching the Big Three in the Heat. In terms of how LeBron frames Spo and the respect, does it hold water to you when he kind of chides those that don't have respect for him?
No, I'm going to throw a flag on this one. It's not a 15-yard penalty, but it's at least a 10-yard penalty because LeBron had to convince himself to have respect for Eric Spoelstra. Now, that was 10 years ago. In fairness, LeBron's talking today in 2020. He's not in 2010 anymore. But in 2010, Pat Riley said it himself in interviews that he felt like 2 different times LeBron was sort of prodding him to replace Eric Spoelstra. And they had a difficult time, establishing a respect level. But Eric Spoelstra needs to answer to nobody, to the media, to any players or anything. He has proven not only to be a spectacular tactician, but he's proven to be a guy who can win a whole bunch of different ways. I can't remember, or I can't even count the number of times I have had Eric Spoelstra in my top 3 of Coach of the Year, even in years where he was almost 500. Eric Spoelstra is a fabulous coach. LeBron knows that. He didn't maybe know it in 2010, but I'll give him a pass. But I'm not going to stand by and let him blame the media and say they were the people who don't give him the respect.
All right, these are all the really interesting subplots, melodramas, whatever. As for on the floor, there's plenty of interesting matchups. The one that is most intriguing to you is what?
Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis. I mean, Anthony Davis is the most all-encompassing teammate LeBron has ever had. And I say that having stood there and watched with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and stood there and watched with Kyrie Irving. He's never had a first-team All-NBA teammate. He's never had a first-team All-Defensive teammate. He's never had a teammate who can score average 30 points in a conference finals series. This is a beast of a Lakers team. 2 first-team All-NBA players playing well, roaring into the final round. But Bam Adebayo is like almost no player I've ever seen. He is a combination of LeBron James and Draymond Green. He can play all 5. He can guard all 5 positions defensively. He can bring the ball up the court. He can play down low. He can shoot. He's not the type of guy who's going to have a 37-20 game, but he's the type of guy that can have a massive impact, especially in the Anthony Davis matchup. So Davis versus Adebayo, and I realize it's not going to be man-on-man because the Heat are going to play a lot of zone, but how those two play against each other, in my view, will probably frame this series more than anything else.
It's interesting how that Boston series starts with Bam with a block, right? But then it ends with him with the best game and fourth quarter of his career. I mean, if you're gonna be catapulting into a final series with the Lakers, you couldn't do it any better than Bam did. I'm with you. I mean, and the Kentucky angle with those two guys, there's plenty to chew on there. It should be fascinating finals, Brian. I hope we can talk some during the actual games.
I'm looking forward to it, Scott. Thanks so much.
As always, see you.
I'm either.
Got to make something happen.
I'm happy, and we're winning, and nobody thought we would do it, but hey, we're here.
Interesting conversation with Brian Windhorst coming a little bit later. Bill Barnwell's going to talk NFL with us later in the week. It wouldn't make any sense if we talked about this with him. Little practice, and we get the same record as the Lakers. You know, they talked about the challenge of managing the nerves of the finals.
I think there's a lot of nerves for a lot of people, including myself. This is the first time being here. Not going to say that we're any better than anybody else, but I just don't think that we're underdogs. I don't. So what that nobody picked us to be here? That's okay. Pretty sure nobody's picking us to win either.
We're going to have our hands full for sure. We respect them. We know how talented they are. But we're definitely feel like we have the right pieces to win game 1.
There can't be a second on the floor where they're playing part of it. I feel like that's where our chance is. We're in the playoffs. This is win or go home. So, when you have that type of mindset, you got to go out there and back that up.
Once again, our pleasure to welcome in Malik Andrews from the bubble with the Heat. And Malika, when last we saw Bam Adebayo, he was on the way to a career-best performance, dominant fourth quarter as the Heat close out the Celtics. As the Heat and Bam transition to these finals against the Lakers, what will his role be?
Well, those matchups that he is going to have with Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard are going to be so important for the Miami Heat when you just look at the sheer size of them versus the Los Angeles Lakers. So I asked Bam about that today, and he told me that what he needs to do early from a tactical standpoint is just avoid getting in ticky-tack foul trouble early on, because he is going to be banging up against those guys all game long. And he also said for him, it's just important to go out there and display extreme effort. And he said that if the Heat had just started to prepare for this series, maybe a week or two ago, he said they wouldn't be in a good enough position. But they've been preparing for this moment the entire season. And Eric Spoelstra has said multiple times at this point that he believes that Bam Adebayo is already one of the great competitors of this league. It's just a matter of time before he becomes one of the great winners, and they're going to need him to be both in this series.
Speaking of Eric Spoelstra, he's way too smart to give us the good stuff. He is notoriously buttoned up. But what have we gleaned about what this will mean to go up against, obviously, a guy that they won with together in LeBron James and this storied Laker franchise?
Well, look, from talking to Eric Spoelstra, it's very clear that he is happy to be going up against LeBron James, and he's also an admirer of LeBron James's body of work. He said that it's really a testament to who LeBron is as a competitor, the fact that he is in the finals again and again and again with so many different players surrounding him, wearing so many different uniforms with so many different franchises. And he said, especially at his age, that is what is really impressing Eric Spoelstra. On the opposite side. I actually asked LeBron about going up against Spo again. He said that potentially Eric Spoelstra hasn't gotten the respect that he's been given, that he thinks that he's due, because Spo's gotten to the finals with so many superstars. But this year, because he's gotten there with a bunch of different guys with a bunch of chips on their shoulders, potentially, LeBron says, this could be the year that he gains that respect.
Yeah, I feel like that's the big, I mean, obviously what's changed from their time together is LeBron's in a different jersey. But I think his perception's always been what it is.